Honored to be here. I'm also happy to look at this award and see that it's spelled correctly. Tom's email this morning was O-N and
Sorry.
Les told the story that one time he said, no, it's with an E and they spelled it Larsen, L-E-R-S-O-N. So it was always a hot topic with him. But I'm so glad to see so many familiar faces and to be back. And of course, I love the excuse to come to Florida this time of year, Chicago. I'm living in Chicago now. I've been there about 3.5 years. I lived there most of my life, except for the 14 years that I lived in Stewart. And it's taken some adjustment, but I am enjoying it. It is a great city. I highly encourage any of you who haven't been to Chicago to come because it's an architectural hub. But anyway, after I talked to emailed with Ron, I've been sort of tossing around some ideas, so I finally did put it in writing so that I could hopefully hit most of the high points. So if you don't mind, I'll sort of read and talk at the same time. But I started out with, who was Arnold Les Larsen, F-A-I-A? A lot of people didn't know his first name was Arnold, and he always went by Les. He was always known as Les. He was the second generation of 4 Danish immigrant grandparents, and he was the son of a man who did not go beyond 8th grade because he had to go back to work or go to work to support his parents. Les was born and raised in Chicago, and early on he showed artistic abilities. His Army service in World War II was in Alaska on the Alcan Highway with the Signal Corps. He really wanted to be a pilot, but he could not qualify because of his vision problems. The GI Bill provided college at Chicago's Navy Pier, which, if any of you have been to Chicago, is now more of an entertainment center. And he served as sophomore class president and also was charged with introducing Frank Lloyd Wright for a speech. Unable to continue college due to marriage and fatherhood, he apprenticed with architect Arnold Scow, whose office and project were on the Coonley Estate, a well-known Frank Lloyd Wright design from 1908, now a national landmark, which is located in the town of Riverside, Illinois, a Frederick Law Olmsted design community. So in my words, he was surrounded by good design. Les established his own architectural practice in 1955 in suburban LaGrange. He added a partner and shifted from residential to commercial work. He sold that practice in 1995. Les was a founding member of the Northeast Illinois chapter of the American Institute of Architects, which broke away from the Chicago chapter. He served in all positions of the chapter and then of AIA Illinois before becoming an Illinois National AIA Director in 1991, where he served with Floridian Jim Anstis. He received his fellowship in 1994, and he would be thrilled to know about Ed. So the question is, how did he end up on the Treasure Coast? In 1991, he bought a 42-foot sailboat with me as the partner. We married a year later in 1992, and together we sailed our sailboat name partnership to reflect our agreement through the Great Lakes, out the St. Lawrence Seaway, around Nova Scotia, down the East Coast, across to the Bahamas, around to New Orleans in order to attend an AIA convention.
That's a long way to go.
Back to Florida, back to the Bahamas, before pulling into a marina in Fort Pierce from the Bahamas in 1998. Until 1996, this travel was combined with both of us continuing to work in Chicago. Our first morning in Fort Pierce, while I did the laundry, he met architect Philip Steele, whose office was at the marina. Phil quickly engaged Les in getting to know other architects in the area. At the time, and Ron kind of alluded to this, and part of this I don't remember as well as I'd like to, but the Stewart group and the Vero Beach group were pretty much doing their own things. There was less work together. And the people who had been taking leadership roles were fatigued. Would that be a good word, Greg? Fatigued?
Yes, it would be.
Les proposed that he serve as pro bono executive director and work to develop the chapter and make it more cohesive, starting with renaming it the Treasure Coast chapter to mirror the name usually attributed to the area from Sebastian to Hope Sound. His 5 years of leadership saw the hoped-for chapter increase of members and activities. The Friday fax became an email as less than the chapter moved, kicking and screaming, I might add, into the technology of the age. He loved all aspects of his role on what he called the other side of the AIA. His enthusiasm never waned as health issues continued to take their toll. I am so pleased that his legacy and love for the architectural profession, as well as the importance he placed on the role of the American Institute of Architects, is being remembered with awards under his name in the Treasure Coast chapter, as well as the Northeast Illinois chapter, who also administers a scholarship annually in his name. He was a consummate proponent of the profession of architecture. Thank you. To say, I don't remember all the particulars of how it all came together. It's sort of a blur to me, but I was there every step of the way.
Sandy, I think I can honestly say that Peter Jones becoming a president of AIA Florida and me now serving as vice president probably would have never happened if Les hadn't come along and kind of helped guide us and show us the way and get us started in doing it. So that award is aptly named, and I don't think we could have found a better way to truly honor his contributions.
And you're the first person I remember being at all those meetings when I was trying to be a good new wife. You were always there supporting everybody. You really were good.
Thank you.
Just to add a little bit on the history here, originally it was the Indian River
That's right.
people who...
It was called the Indian River chapter.
Indian
wasn't
River
it?
chapter, yes. But basically, the Indian River section and the Martin County sections were sections of Palm Beach chapter. And then, because it's 85 miles to go from Vero Beach to West Palm Beach, those people up there broke off and set up their own chapter, which was the Indian River chapter. So they were formally established as a chapter. Martin County stayed as a section. How long was it that until Martin County moved out of there too and joined? Do you know? Does anyone know?
Well, when Les showed up.
Okay, that's what I thought.
He
Okay.
got us together with
Right.
Indian River.
He said, "Why don't you stop being a Czech section
It was all.
and join the Indian River?" Yeah.
It had been mentioned 2 years earlier that we ought to start because of the fatigue. We were running out of people to be president and everything else. And about 2 years earlier, we started having conversations in Vero that, you know, whatever the feud was, you guys need to bury the hatchet between the two sections. Because I guess there was a feud at one point in time. It predated me. But we had started, seeing Les coming along to say, "Are you guys nuts?" In his inimitable style.
Yeah, he wouldn't
You
have
guys
been
must
worried.
be nuts working against each other. So.
Well, if you remember, Greg, we started meeting halfway between. And that's what, yeah.
And then you guys came up with the first service awards program we had was in 2000 at the hotel that Gloria Estefan now owns. And about 5 of you guys came up in a limousine.
Right.
And I think that was really the first kickoff where we actually moved together. And then
Wasn't that in '99?
2000 or 99, somewhere around. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Any more questions for Sandy? Okay. Very good. Turn it back to you, Tom.
Daryl, the
Floor is mine.
floor is yours.
Great.
Thanks.
Well, I'm happy to share that
I'd like to get
today. That
get a copy
was
of
pretty
that.
interesting.
Do you need the
I have it on
Daryl, do you need
my
the
drive
flag?
too. I can send
You
it
guys tell me.
electronically.
I think so.
Can we stay awake while you
I'm
get that?